A little black girl ran screaming to a biker club booth at the carnival, tears streaming down her face. "They took my brother," she cried, pointing at a silver SUV speeding away. What she didn't know, the men she'd just begged for help hadn't ridden into a fight in years. But for her, they were about to break every rule they'd made to stay out of trouble. The smell of cotton candy and gasoline hung thick in the evening air at the Riverside Harvest Carnival. Jake Hawk Morrison wiped sweat from his brow as he flipped another hot dog on the sizzling grill, the Iron Riders logo on his leather vest catching the floodlights around him. A dozen members of his motorcycle club manned the food booth they'd volunteered to run as part of their new community outreach program. Think the deputies impressed yet? Tommy Wrench Valdez called out, handing a snow cone to a curly-haired kid who couldn't stop staring at the row of gleaming Harleys parked behind them. Hawk smirked. "Don't care if he is. We're doing this for us, not for him." It had been 3 years since the Iron Riders shifted from their rough past to becoming what Hawk called a brotherhood with purpose. They still rode hard, still wore their colors with pride. But now they organized charity events, escorted fallen veterans, and showed up when the community needed muscle for the right reasons. A small crowd of kids surrounded Diesel, their biggest member, a 6'5" wall of tattoos and graying beard, who was patiently explaining the parts of his customized soft ale. Parents snapped photos, smiling instead of pulling their children away. Progress. Hawk Bear, their road captain, jogged over from the parking lot, his face unusually pale beneath his dark skin. "We got a situation." Before Hawk could respond, a high-pitched scream cut through the carnival noise. "Help! Somebody help!" Every head turned. A little black girl, no more than 8 or 9, was sprinting toward their booth, her sundress torn at the hem, tight braids flying behind her. Tears streamed down her flushed face. She stumbled over her own feet, nearly falling before Wrench caught her. "Whoa! Hey, you're okay?" Wrench said gently, kneeling to her level. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" The girl gasped for air between sobs, her small fists clutching Wrench's leather vest. They took my brother. They took Danny." Hawk was at her side in 2 strides, the tongs forgotten on the grill. "Who took him when?" Just now she pointed a shaking finger toward the far end of the parking lot. 2 men. They grabbed him and put him in a silver car. I tried to stop them, but silver SUV Bear interrupted, his jaw tight, tinted windows. The girl nodded frantically. It had a sticker on the back window, a skull with snake eyes. Hawk's blood ran cold. He exchanged a look with Bear. Every biker in earshot had gone rigid. The serpents. "Which way?" Hawk demanded, already moving. "There," the girl pointed again. Through the maze of parked cars, Hawk caught a flash of silver metal. A Tahoe with custom rims peeling out toward the exit. Diesel clutch. Eyes on that SUV. Hawk barked. His men moved instantly, some grabbing helmets, others already running for the bikes. The girl was still sobbing, but something about her face nagged at Hawk's memory. He'd seen those brown eyes before. Then it clicked. "Wait." He gripped her shoulders carefully. "What's your last name, honey?" "Coleman." "Jenna Coleman." Hawk's stomach dropped. "Rick's daughter." She nodded, confused. "You know my dad, Rick Coleman, one of their own, or had been until 5 years ago when he'd left the club to go straight. Married his high school sweetheart, had 2 kids, took a job at the steel mill. A clean exit, no bad blood. He'd wanted a better life for his family, and the Iron Riders respected that. But the serpents had long memories. Bear, call Rick. Now Hawk pulled out his phone, already dialing 911. "Wrench, stay with Jenna. Everyone else, mount up." "Hawk, if we chase them," Clutch started. "I know what it means," Hawk snapped. Going after the Serpent's people was declaring war, but his code was simple. You don't take kids ever. That boy's father rode with us. We don't leave our own behind, even the ones who got out. The operator answered, 911, what's your emergency? This is Jake Morrison at the Riverside Carnival grounds. There's been a kidnapping. 8-year-old boy taken by force. Silver Chevy Tahoe partial plate. Bravo Tango. 9 heading west on Highway 22 in. He'd caught the partial plate as the SUV fishtailed around the exit. Years of training never left you. Armed suspects, gang-related. We're pursuing until your units arrive. Sir, I need you to stay at the scene. Not happening. Send units to the west side. We'll keep visual contact. He hung up before she could argue. Bear sprinted back, phone pressed to his ear. Rick's not answering. His wife says he's at the job site in Oak Ridge. Get him on the line. Tell him we're on it. Hawk grabbed his helmet from his bike. Around him, engines roared to life. A thunderous chorus of V-twins that made the ground vibrate. 13 bikers, hardened men who'd been through hell and back, all of them ready to ride into danger for a kid most of them had never met. Because that's what brothers did. Jenna grabbed Hawk's arm, her tear-stained face looking up at him with desperate hope. You'll get Danny back. Promise. Hawk didn't make promises he couldn't keep, but he saw his own daughter's face in hers. The same age, same innocence. He knelt down, his voice firm. We're not stopping until he's home safe. She threw her thin arms around his neck, hugging tight. Thank you. Wrench gently pulled her back. Come on, kiddo. Let's get you somewhere safe. Hawk mounted his Road King, the weight familiar and comforting. His radio crackled. Every rider on the same channel now. This is Hawk, 3 teams. Bear, your team, Alpha, direct pursuit. Clutch, your Bravo. Parallel streets, cut off escape routes. Diesel, you're Charlie. Traffic and intel. We keep this clean and controlled. No heroics. No violence unless they start it. We're buying time for the cops, but that kid comes first. Questions? Negative. Boss, came the unified response. Then let's ride. 13 motorcycles thundered out of the carnival grounds in formation, leaving behind shocked carnival goers and one little black girl who watched them disappear, still whispering a prayer for her brother. Behind them, Hawk's hot dog burned, forgotten on the grill, smoke rising into the late evening sky like a signal flare. The chase was on. The western highway blurred beneath Hawk's wheels as 13 motorcycles roared through evening traffic. Cars swerved aside, some honking in protest, others pulling over instinctively at the sight of the leather-clad convoy. Alpha Team, I got visual. Bear's voice crackled through Hawk's helmet radio. Silver Tahoe, quarter-mile ahead, weaving through traffic near exit 62. Copy that. Bravo Team. Where are you? Hawk throttled forward, his Road King eating up asphalt. Taking Oak Ridge Parkway, Clutch responded. If he stays on this route, we'll intercept at the Turner Road junction. Charlie Team holding position at the overpass. Diesel added. Got eyes on everything from up here. Hawk, you got company. 2 sport bikes just joined the Tahoe. Looks like they called for backup. Hawk's jaw tightened. The Serpents were already mobilizing. This wasn't just a kidnapping anymore. It was a message. But what message? Rick had been out of the life for 5 years. Why come after his kid now? All teams, maintain distance, Hawk ordered. We're not trying to be heroes. Just keep them in sight, until his phone buzzed against his chest. He risked a glance at the screen mounted on his handlebars. Rick, Coleman, Bear, take point. Everyone stay on mission. Hawk answered the call, keeping his voice steady despite the wind roaring past. Rick, what the hell is happening? Rick's voice was raw, panicked. Maria just told me. She's hysterical. Danny's gone. The Serpents took Danny. We're on them right now. Highway 22, heading toward the industrial district. I'm 20 minutes out. Rick, listen to me. Hawk cut through a gap between two semis, never losing sight of Bear's tail light ahead. We've got this. Police are on the way. You need to stay with Maria and Jenna right now. That's my son. Rick's voice cracked. My 8-year-old boy is in a car with those animals because of me. Because of what, Rick? Why would they target Danny after all this time? Silence. Just the sound of Rick's ragged breathing and a truck engine in the background. Rick, I testified. Rick finally said, his voice hollow. 3 months ago, federal case against Marcus Viper Santana. I didn't tell anyone because I thought it was sealed. I thought my family was safe. Viper Santana, president of the Serpents, currently awaiting trial for racketeering, weapons trafficking, and murder. If Rick had testified against him. They found out, Hawk said quietly. This morning, Viper's lawyer called me, said the prosecution accidentally leaked witness names in a filing. He said Viper wanted me to know that debts get paid. I thought he was bluffing. I thought his voice broke completely. I didn't think they'd actually hurt my kids. Hawk's knuckles went white on the handlebars. This wasn't about old club beef. This was retaliation, a father being punished through his child. Where are you right now? Oak Ridge construction site. I'm getting on my bike. Your bike? Hawk's eyes widened. You still have the Dyna? Never sold it. Couldn't a pause. I'm coming, Hawk. I don't care what you say. Then you follow my orders. We do this smart or that boy dies. Understood. Another pause. Longer this time. When Rick spoke again, his voice had changed. Harder. Colder. The voice of the man who used to ride beside them understood. Send me your location. The call ended. Hawk immediately radioed the group. Listen up. Rick's joining us. This just got personal. He testified against Viper in federal court. This is a revenge play. Whistles and curses filled the channel. That changes things, Bear said grimly. If Viper ordered this, they're not just grabbing the kid for a joyride. They're sending him back piece by piece. Not if we get there first. Hawk spotted the Tahoe now. 3 cars ahead in the right lane. The 2 escort bikes flanked it like guard dogs. Bear, I got visual. You see the escorts? Yeah, young guys. Probably prospects trying to earn their patch. They look nervous. Good. Nervous means inexperienced. Inexperienced means mistakes. The Tahoe suddenly swerved left, cutting across 2 lanes and taking an exit ramp at the last second. The escort bikes followed, tires squealing. He's bailing off the highway. Bear shouted, taking Pinewood Boulevard exit. Bravo team, intercept. Hawk leaned into the turn, following the exodus down the ramp. The Tahoe was heading into the warehouse district. Narrow streets, lots of corners, easy to lose a tail. We're easy to set an ambush. Charlie team, get down here, Hawk ordered. We need eyes on all sides. The chase descended into the maze of industrial buildings. Graffitied walls flew past. Broken glass crunched under tires. The Tahoe ran a red light, nearly T-boning a delivery van. Horns blared. The escort bikes split up, one staying with the SUV, the other falling back toward the pursuing bikers. We got a blocker, Bear warned. The Serpent prospect, couldn't be more than 22, positioned his sport bike sideways across the narrow street, engine revving. He wasn't armed, but his message was clear. Back off. Bear didn't slow down. At the last second, the prospect's nerve broke and he jerked his bike aside, nearly dropping it. The Iron Riders blew past him like a storm. Tahoe turning on 8th. Clutch's voice. We're coming up on your left. Hawk saw it unfold like a choreographed dance. The Tahoe hooked a hard right on 8th Street. Clutch and his team emerged from a parallel street. Perfectly timed to continue the pursuit. The SUV accelerated, but now it had bikers ahead and behind. He's boxed, Diesel called out. Next right takes him toward the River District. Dead ends everywhere. The driver knew it too. The Tahoe's brake lights flashed as it fishtailed around another corner. Desperate now. Then Hawk saw where they were heading. The old dock bridge, single lane each direction. Half a mile long, only 2 ways off. The entrance and the exit. A trap waiting to be sprung. "All teams," Hawk said. "A plan forming. That bridge is our kill zone. Bravo team, get ahead using River Road. Charlie team, block the exit. Alpha, we push them onto it." "What about police?" someone asked. "They're still 10 minutes out. We're doing this ourselves." A new voice crackled on the radio. Rough, familiar, hungry. "Hawk, this is Rick. I'm 2 minutes behind you. Don't let them off that bridge." Hawk smiled grimly. "Welcome back, brother. Let's go get your son." The Tahoe hit the warehouse district at 60 important, blowing through stop signs like they didn't exist. Hawk leaned into every turn, his Road King responding like an extension of his body. Behind him, Bear and 3 other riders matched his pace, their formation tight and disciplined. Clutch status. Hawk barked into his radio. "We're on Merchant Street running parallel. I can see you through the gaps between buildings. He's heading straight for the rail yards. Copy. Stay ready to cut him off." Hawk's eyes never left the Tahoe's tail lights. Inside that vehicle was a terrified 8-year-old boy who probably thought he was going to die. The thought made Hawk's blood boil. "Diesel, you recording this?" Hawk asked. "Everything, boss. Helmet cam's been streaming to the cloud since we left the carnival grounds." Diesel's voice came through steady. "If this goes south, at least we'll have evidence." Smart. If the Serpents claimed they were the victims later, the footage would tell the truth. The Tahoe suddenly hooked a hard left into an alley barely wide enough for it. Trash cans exploded as the SUV sideswiped them, sending garbage flying. "He's trying to lose us in the maze," Bear shouted. Hawk didn't hesitate. He aimed his bike into the alley, the brick walls blurring inches from his shoulders. Behind him, he heard the distinctive roar of his brothers following without question. The alley was a straight shot for 50 yards, then a sharp right. The Tahoe took the corner too fast. Its rear end clipped the dumpster, spinning it sideways for a heart-stopping moment before the driver recovered and accelerated again. "That driver's panicking," Bear observed. "Good for us." They burst out of the alley onto 5th Avenue, a wider street with actual traffic. The Tahoe weaved between cars, forcing a taxi onto the sidewalk, and nearly clipping a bus. Horns blared, people scattered. "We need to be careful," Hawk said. "Can't put civilians at risk." "Little late for that," someone muttered. The escort bike, the one that hadn't chickened out earlier, pulled alongside the Tahoe's passenger window. The rider was young, wearing Serpent's colors, and he kept glancing back at the pursuing Iron Riders with growing panic. "That's Spider," Bear said, recognizing him. "Viper's nephew, just got patched in last month. Inexperienced," Hawk noted. "Good." The Tahoe suddenly accelerated through a yellow light at the intersection of 5th and Lakeshore. The escort bike followed. Hawk approached the intersection just as the light turned red, but traffic was already moving. "Split," he ordered. The Iron Riders divided like water around a rock. 3 took the right, using a side street to loop around for went left, including Hawk Bear, and 2 others cut through a gas station parking lot, threading between pumps to maintain visual contact. This is Clutch. We're ahead of them, approaching the construction zone on Lakeshore. Hawk's mind raced the construction zone, that massive redevelopment project that had torn up 3 blocks and turned Lakeshore into a single-lane nightmare of barriers and detours. "Clutch. Can you funnel him into the detour? Already on it, setting up position now." 30 seconds later, Hawk saw it unfold. The Tahoe approached the construction zone at high speed, clearly hoping to lose its pursuers in the confusion. But Clutch and his team had positioned themselves at the main intersection, their bikes blocking the straight route. The driver had only one choice: take the detour that wound through the construction site. "He's taking the bait," Clutch reported. "Charlie team, where's that exit?" Hawk demanded. "Already there," Diesel responded. "We're blocking the far end. He's going into a funnel with no way out." The Tahoe plunged into the construction zone, concrete barriers rising on both sides. The road narrowed to a single lane, forcing the escort bike to fall in behind the SUV. They were strung out now, vulnerable. Hawk and his team followed them in, keeping a controlled distance. The construction site was a maze of orange cones, idle equipment, and piles of dirt. Dust kicked up from the Tahoe's tires, creating a brown haze. "Stay sharp," Hawk warned. "This could be an ambush." But it wasn't. The Tahoe was genuinely trying to escape, its driver clearly unfamiliar with the area. They passed a massive excavator, then a stack of concrete pipes. Then the road ended. Not a true dead end, but the detour made a sharp 90-degree turn that the driver didn't anticipate. The Tahoe's brake screamed. It skidded sideways, crashing into a barrier with a sickening crunch of metal and plastic. The escort bike barely avoided slamming into the SUV's rear, instead sliding out and dumping its rider into a pile of gravel. The Iron Riders surrounded the crash site within seconds, engines rumbling like thunder. "Nobody moves," Hawk shouted, dismounting but keeping his distance. He could see shapes inside the Tahoe, two in front, movement in the back. "We just want the boy." The driver's door opened. A man in his 30s stepped out, serpent's colors on his vest, a pistol in his hand, but pointed down. "Back off, Iron Riders. This ain't your business. You made it our business when you grabbed Rick Coleman's kid." Bear growled, flanking to the right. "Rick's a rat," the serpent spat. "Viper don't forgive rats. And we don't forgive child kidnappers," Hawk shot back. "Put the gun down. Let the boy go. Walk away. This is your only chance." The passenger door opened now. A second serpent emerged, older, calmer. Hawk recognized him. Carlos Fong Martinez, one of Viper's lieutenants, a stone-cold veteran. "Hawk Morrison," Fong said, his voice smooth. "Long time. You really want to start a war over this? War's already started. You're just realizing it." Fong smiled without humor. "We got the boy. You got nothing. Back off or things get messy. Surrounded. Outgunned. Cops 3 minutes out." Hawk counted on his fingers. "You're the one with nothing, Fong. Except maybe a kidnapping charge." "Hawk!" Diesel's voice crackled urgently in his helmet. SUV with 4 more serpents just entered the construction zone behind us. We're about to be boxed. Hawk's stomach tightened. Reinforcements. The ambush he'd feared. Then a new sound cut through the tension. A single motorcycle, big and loud, approaching fast. Rick Coleman roared into the construction site on his old Dyna, and Hawk barely recognized the man. 5 years of civilian life had melted away. The Rick who pulled up next to Hawk was the same hardy rider who'd once been one of their best. "That's my son in that truck," Rick said coldly, staring at Fong. "And you're going to give him back?" Fong's smile widened. "Or what, rat?" Rick dismounted slowly, deliberately. "Or I show you what I should have done in court. Testified about everything, every murder, every deal, every dirty cop on your payroll. The feds only got half the story. Fong, you really want me to give them the rest?" Fong's smile vanished. "Let Danny go," Rick continued. "And I keep my mouth shut about all of it. That's the deal. Viper will never Viper's going to prison anyway," Rick interrupted. "But you could still walk away. Think about it." For a long, tense moment, nobody moved. Then sirens close now, maybe a minute out. Fong glanced at the approaching police, then at the Iron Riders surrounding him, then at Rick's cold, unflinching stare. "This ain't over," Fong finally said. He nodded to the driver. The Tahoe's rear door opened and a small figure stumbled out. Danny Coleman, scared but alive, duct tape on his wrists. Rick caught his son before he fell, crushing him in a fierce embrace. Rick Coleman held his son tight, Danny's small body shaking with sobs against his chest. For 3 perfect seconds, the world felt right again. Then everything went wrong. Nobody moved. The shout came from behind them. Hawk spun to see the reinforcements Diesel had warned about 4 serpents on motorcycles, plus a second SUV, blocking their exit from the construction zone. The new arrivals were heavily armed, and their leader was a face Hawk recognized with a sinking feeling. Trey Razor Washington, Viper's enforcer, 6'2", of pure violence wrapped in leather and gang ink. "Fong, what the hell are you doing?" Razor demanded, striding forward with a shotgun cradled in his arms. Viper didn't say nothing about letting the rat's kid go. Fong's expression darkened. "Cops are 30 seconds out, so we handle cops all the time." Razor's eyes fixed on Rick and Danny. "That boy's insurance. Viper's orders were clear. Hold him until the rat recants his testimony in writing." "I'm not recanting anything," Rick said through gritted teeth, positioning himself between Razor and his son. "Then the boy comes with us," Razor nodded to 2 of his men. "Like hell," Bear started forward, but Hawk grabbed his arm. "Wait," Hawk said quietly, his mind racing. They were outnumbered now, outgunned, and the police sirens were getting closer. If shooting started with Danny in the middle, Razor's men moved fast. One grabbed Danny from behind while another shoved Rick hard, sending him sprawling. Danny screamed as he was dragged toward the second SUV. "No!" Rick lunged up, but a serpent's boot caught him in the ribs. Hawk's hand went to his belt, but Fong already had his pistol leveled at Hawk's chest. "Don't." The Iron Riders tensed, hands moving toward concealed weapons. One word from Hawk, and this construction site would become a war zone. But Danny's terrified face decided it. "Stand down," Hawk ordered his men through clenched teeth. "All of you stand down, Hawk," Bear protested. "That's an order," Razor grinned as his men shoved Danny into the second SUV. "Smart choice, Morrison. Tell your boys to back off. We're leaving. You won't make it 2 blocks," Hawk warned. "Cops have this whole area surrounded by now. We know these streets. You don't." Razor climbed into the SUV's passenger seat. "And Iron Riders, stay out of the Downs. That's Serpent territory. You follow us there, it's war. You really want that." The 2 Serpent SUVs and their motorcycle escort roared to life. Within seconds, they were gone, disappearing deeper into the industrial maze, away from the approaching sirens. Rick struggled to his feet, blood on his lip, murder in his eyes. "We're going after them, Rick," I said. "We're going after them." Rick's roar echoed off concrete. "That's my son." Hawk grabbed him by the vest. "And you'll get him killed, charging in blind. The Downs is their territory, every corner, every hidey hole. They'll see us coming a mile away, I don't care." "Well, I do." Hawk shook him once hard. "You've got a wife who already lost her son today. You want her to lose her husband, too." Rick's rage crumbled into anguish. "What am I supposed to do? Just let them take him." "No." Hawk released him, his jaw set. "We go in smart. We use our heads." Police cars screeched into the construction zone, lights flashing. Officers poured out, weapons drawn. Everyone on the ground now. "Hawk," Diesel said urgently. "They're going to detain us. We'll lose the trail." Hawk made a split-second decision. "All teams scatter. Regroup at the Oak Ridge warehouse. Move!" The Iron Riders kicked their bikes to life and scattered in different directions through gaps in the construction site before the police could box them in. Hawk grabbed Rick's arm with me now. They mounted their bikes and shot through a narrow opening between 2 barriers, police shouting behind them. Hawk knew every back street in this city, and within 2 minutes they'd lost their pursuers. But as they raced through the evening shadows, Hawk's GPS showed their direction clearly. The Downs. Serpent territory. 5 square blocks of row houses, corner bars, and gang lookouts. The Iron Riders hadn't crossed into the Downs in 4 years, not since the truce they'd negotiated after the bloody summer of 21. Going in now meant breaking that truce. It meant war. Hawk's radio crackled. "Boss, this is Diesel. We're reforming on the Oak Ridge side. But Hawk, if we go into the Downs, we're not coming out without a fight." "I know. Half our guys aren't strapped. We left our pieces behind for the carnival. We're riding into a shooting gallery with nothing but our fists." "I know," Hawk repeated. "Just making sure you understand what you're starting." Hawk glanced at Rick, riding beside him, the man's face a mask of determination and desperation. A father willing to ride through hell itself for his child. 15 minutes, Hawk said into the radio. "Everyone meet at the warehouse. We're going in, but we're doing it smart. Charlie team, I need you to find a way to even the odds." "Copy that. I got an idea." Hawk and Rick pulled into an abandoned gas station 2 blocks from the Oak Ridge warehouse. Rick killed his engine, breathing hard. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for not giving up on him." "We don't give up on family." "Even family that left," Hawk paused. "But Rick, when we go into the Downs, you follow my orders. No cowboy, no revenge plays. We get Danny out alive. That's the only mission. And if they try to stop us, then we remind the Serpents why they made that truce in the first place." Hawk's voice hardened. They wanted peace 4 years ago, because they were tired of losing. Maybe they need a reminder. Rick's phone buzzed. A text message. His face went pale as he read it. "What?" Hawk demanded. Rick turned the phone around. The message was from an unknown number. It showed a photo of Danny tied to a chair in a dim basement, dried tears on his face. Below it, words. "Come to the Downs and the boy dies. Sign the recantation and maybe he lives. You have 2 hours. V, 2 hours, Rick whispered. He's giving me 2 hours to throw away my testimony and let him walk free. Or he kills Danny. Rick's hands trembled. What do I do, Hawk? My son's life or justice? How do I choose that? Hawk stared at the photo of the frightened boy, 8 years old, innocent, caught in a war he didn't understand. You don't have to choose, Hawk said finally, because we're not playing by Viper's rules. What do you mean? Hawk started his bike, the engine growling to life. I mean, we're going to show the Serpents that some things in this world are more dangerous than they are. Like what? Hawk's smile was cold and sharp, like 13 bikers who don't give a damn about truces. When a child's life is on the line, they rode toward the Oak Ridge warehouse, where the rest of the Iron Riders were gathering. The sun was dropping toward the horizon, painting the sky orange and red. It looked like the world was on fire. The Oak Ridge warehouse was a skeletal monument to better times, rusted metal beams and broken windows overlooking the muddy expanse of the Clearwater River. Hawk pulled up to see his crew already assembled. 13 bikes in a semicircle. 13 hard faces waiting for orders. Rick parked beside him, still staring at the photo on his phone like it might change if he looked long enough. Listen up. Hawk's voice cut through the murmur of conversation. We've got 2 hours before Viper makes good on his threat. That means we plan this right. We move fast and nobody goes off mission. Clear. A chorus of affirmatives. Diesel. What? V, you got Diesel stepped forward, tablet in hand. Been tracking the Serpent's movements through traffic cams and social media. I pulled feeds from everyone who posted videos of the chase. He swiped through images. The 2 SUVs split up after leaving the construction zone. One went north, probably a decoy. The other went straight into the Downs. Can you narrow it down? Hawk asked. Already did. Diesel expanded a map on his screen. The Downs has 3 main serpent strongholds. First is the clubhouse on Mercy Street. Too obvious, too many witnesses. Second is the warehouse on Pike, but that got raided by DEA last month, so it's probably empty. Third, he zoomed in on a location near the river's edge, the old cannery on Wharf Street, right on the water, isolated, easy to defend. That's where they'd take him, Rick said immediately. Viper used to use that place for bad things. Hawk studied the map. The cannery sat on a peninsula of land surrounded on 3 sides by the river. Only one road in and out, Wharf Street, which ran straight through the heart of Serpent territory. It's a fortress, Bear observed. They'll see us coming a mile away. Not if they're not looking, Clutch said slowly, studying the map. That peninsula? What's on the other side of the river? Diesel zoomed out. Industrial Park, mostly empty. And wait, he tapped the screen. There's a bridge. The old dock bridge crosses right there, maybe 300 yards from the cannery. Hawk's mind started racing. The bridge, single lane each direction, Diesel continued. Half a mile long, no exits in the middle. It's a natural choke point. And if we control both ends, Hawk said slowly, we control who comes and goes. Rick looked up. I don't understand. The cannery is on the other side of the river from the bridge. Exactly. Hawk pointed at the screen. The Serpents are expecting us to charge in through their territory. Every corner, every lookout, every gun they've got will be watching that approach. But the bridge, he traced a path with his finger. The bridge lets us position ourselves without ever setting foot in the Downs. How does that help us get Danny? Rick's frustration was palpable. Because we don't go to them, Hawk explained. We make them come to us. They're not going to just drive Danny out, Bear protested. No, but they will if they think they've already won. Hawk turned to Rick. Viper wants you to sign a recantation, right? To save Danny. Yes. So we give him what he wants. Sort of. Understanding dawned on Rick's face. You want me to agree to sign? We arrange a meeting. Middle of the old dock bridge. Neutral ground. Hawk's voice gained momentum. You bring the signed document. They bring Danny. We make the exchange. They'll never go for it. Someone said they will, Hawk countered. Because Viper's desperate. His trial starts in 3 weeks. Without Rick recanting, he's going to prison for life. He needs this win more than we do. Diesel nodded slowly. And once they're on that bridge, we control both exits. Hawk finished. Charlie Team blocks the far end. Alpha Team blocks the near end. They're trapped in the middle with nowhere to go until the cops show up, Clutch added, which we make sure happens at exactly the right time. Exactly. Hawk looked around at his crew. This isn't about fighting. It's about backing them into a corner where their only choice is to let Danny go. What if they don't bring Danny? Rick asked quietly. What if it's a trap? That's where the helmet cams come in. Hawk pointed at Diesel. You've been streaming everything, right? Every second since the carnival grounds. Good. We make it clear. Everything happening on that bridge is being recorded and broadcast live. If they try anything, the whole world sees it. They'll be under a microscope. Bear cracked his knuckles. I like it. Smart over strength. But we need eyes inside first, Hawk continued. We need to confirm Danny's actually at that cannery before we make our move. I'll go, Rick said immediately. No, you won't, Hawk. Shut him down. You're the bait. You need to stay clean, stay visible. If you disappear into the Downs, Viper will know something's up. Then who? Wrench stepped forward. I can do it. I'm not in colors today. Left my vest at the carnival. The Serpents don't know my face as well as some of you old-timers. Hawk considered it. Wrench was young, smart, and most importantly, he looked like he could belong in the Downs. Just another guy passing through. You'd be going in alone, Hawk warned. I know. No backup, no weapons, no vest. I know. And if you get made, then I'll improvise. Come on, Hawk. That boy needs us. Wrench's jaw set. Let me do this. Hawk nodded slowly. Get eyes on Danny. Confirm his location. In and out. 20 minutes max. If you're not back by then, we come in loud. Got it. Wrench grabbed his helmet. One more thing, Diesel said. I've been monitoring police bands. They're looking for us hard after that construction site thing. We've got maybe an hour before they start setting up checkpoints. Then we move now. Hawk pulled out his phone. Rick, call Viper. Tell him you'll sign the recantation. Tell him you want the exchange to happen on the old dock bridge in 90 minutes. Public recorded safe. And if he says no, he won't. He's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Hawk's eyes hardened. But just in case, everyone gear up. This goes wrong. We're ready for a fight. Rick's hands shook as he dialed the number Viper had texted from. It rang twice. Rick Coleman. Viper's voice was smooth, almost friendly. Decided to be reasonable. I'll sign your paper, Rick said, his voice hollow. But we do this my way. Old Dock Bridge. 90 minutes public exchange. You bring Danny, I bring the signed recantation. Both sides stay in view of each other the whole time. A pause. Hawk could almost hear Viper calculating. Fine, Viper finally said. But Rick, any tricks, any cops, any Iron Riders, and your boy goes in the river. Understand? I understand. The call ended. Rick looked at Hawk, his face pale but determined. It's happening. Then let's get into position. Hawk mounted his bike. Everyone knows their assignments. We get one shot at this. Make it count. Wrench returned 18 minutes after entering the Downs, breathing hard, a fresh bruise darkening his left cheek. Got made by a lookout, he explained quickly, waving off concern. But not before I confirmed. Danny's in the cannery basement level. 2 guards. He's scared, but alive. Good work. Hawk checked his watch. 53 minutes until the exchange. Everyone mount up. It's time. The Iron Riders rolled out in 3 teams, taking different routes to avoid police attention. The sun hung low on the horizon now, painting the Clearwater River in shades of orange and gold. Hawk's team, Alpha, approached the old dock bridge from the city. The ancient structure stretched across the water like a rusted spine, its single lane barely wide enough for 2 cars to pass. A few curious pedestrians lined the railings, phones out already filming the bikers taking position. Charlie, team in position. Diesel radioed from the far end of the bridge. We've blocked the exit. No one's getting off this bridge without going through us. Bravo team ready. Clutch confirmed from a side street. We can close the entrance on your signal. Hawk surveyed the scene. 13 bikers, 1 bridge, and a plan that relied entirely on the Serpents believing they'd already won. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number, he answered cautiously. Hawk Morrison. The voice was unfamiliar. Younger, uncertain. Who's this? Name's Jax. I ride with the Devil's Disciples out of Cranston. We saw the videos of you guys chasing after that kid. Hawk's grip tightened on the phone. The Devil's Disciples were a rival club. Not enemies, but not friends either. What about it? That's a kid, man. 8 years old. We heard the Serpents grabbed him a pause. We're 15 minutes from the old dock bridge. If you need backup, Hawk's eyes widened. You're offering to help. We got kids too. Some things are bigger than club politics. Another voice in the background. Then Jax continued. And we're not the only ones. The Road Kings are coming. So are the Night Wolves and the Iron Horse crew. Word spread fast. Hawk's throat tightened. How many riders? Last count, about 40, maybe more. 40 bikers from 4 different clubs converging on a bridge to save 1 child they'd never met, because it was the right thing to do. Come in quiet, Hawk instructed. No colors, no aggression. We're not starting a war. We're just showing force. Understood. We'll be there. The call ended. Hawk relayed the information to his teams, hearing the shock and pride in their responses. "Boss," Bear said quietly, "if this many clubs show up, the serpents are going to panic." "Good. Let them panic." Rick paced near his bike, the forged recantation document in his shaking hands. Hawk had helped him create it, official-looking enough to pass a quick inspection, but worthless legally. The plan was to trade it for Danny, then reveal the truth after the boy was safe. If everything went according to plan... "They're coming," Diesel announced. "Silver SUV, 3 escort bikes, ETA 2 minutes. Hawk's pulse quickened. "Everyone stay calm. Cameras recording, everything streaming live." Diesel confirmed. "We've got about 300 viewers already. Local news just picked up the feed. Perfect." Public pressure was their best weapon. The rumble of engines announced the serpent's arrival. The silver SUV rolled onto the bridge slowly, flanked by 3 motorcycles. Behind them, 5 more bikes appeared, a show of force. The vehicle stopped at the bridge's midpoint, maybe 50 yards from where Rick stood. The doors opened. Viper himself stepped out, not a lieutenant, but the actual president. Marcus Viper Santana was in his 50s, gray threading through his slicked back hair, a snake tattoo coiling up his neck. Despite facing federal charges, he moved with absolute confidence. 2 of his men dragged Danny from the back seat. The boy's hands were still bound, his face tear-stained, but defiant. When he saw his father, he tried to run, but the serpents held him firm. "Daddy!" Danny's voice cracked across the water. Rick took a step forward, but Hawk grabbed his shoulder. "Not yet," Viper smiled. "Rick Coleman. Been a long time." "Not long enough." Rick's voice shook with rage. "Let my son go. Show me the paper first." Rick held up the document. "It's signed, notarized. Everything you wanted. Now give me my son." "Walk it to me." Slowly, Rick started forward, each step measured. Hawk watched from 30 yards back, his hand near his belt. If this went wrong, then he heard them. The rumble started as a distant thunder, growing louder. Hawk turned to see motorcycles appearing from every direction. Dozens of them from clubs he recognized, and some he didn't. They lined up along both sides of the bridge approach, engines idling, riders standing in silent solidarity, 47 bikers all watching, all recording. Viper's confidence cracked. He looked around, seeing the growing crowd, the cameras, the witnesses. "What is this?" "This is what happens," Hawk called out. "When you mess with kids, you wanted a war. Here's your army." More bikes were arriving. Civilians now, drawn by social media posts. The bridge approaches were filling with people, all filming, all watching. Viper's men looked nervous. They were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and under a spotlight they couldn't escape. "This wasn't the deal," Viper snarled. "The deal was, you get your paper, we get the boy." Rick reached the midpoint, holding out the document. "Take it." Viper snatched the paper, scanning it quickly. His face darkened as he read. "This is fake." "No," Rick said quietly. "It's exactly as fake as your promise to let my son go free." Viper's hand went to his waistband. "You think you're clever?" Police sirens wailed in the distance, closer than before. Diesel had made the anonymous call 10 minutes ago, giving them just enough time. "I think Rick said that you've got about 2 minutes before the cops arrive. You've got an audience of thousands watching online. You've got 50 bikers ready to testify you kidnapped my son, and you've got one choice. Let Danny go and drive away or go down for kidnapping on top of everything else." Viper's jaw clenched. He looked at his men, at the cameras, at the approaching police lights reflecting off the water. "This isn't over," he hissed. "Yeah," Rick said. "It is." Viper shoved Danny forward. The boy stumbled into his father's arms as the serpents retreated to their vehicles. Within seconds, they were gone, disappearing toward the downs before the police could cut them off. Rick fell to his knees, holding Danny tight, both of them sobbing. The assembled bikers didn't cheer. They just revved their engines once, a thunder of victory and respect. Hawk watched the sunset paint the river gold, knowing that every second of this was being shared online. They'd won without throwing a single punch. The police arrived 3 minutes after the serpents fled. 5 patrol cars, lights blazing, blocking both ends of the old dock bridge. Detective Sarah Chun was the first to reach Rick and Danny, her weapon holstered but her expression skeptical. "Rick Coleman?" she asked, though she clearly already knew. Rick looked up from where he knelt, still holding Danny. "Yes, ma'am. I need you to let go of the boy so paramedics can check him. He's my son. I know, but this is a crime scene, and I need to follow protocol." Her voice softened slightly. "You'll be right next to him the whole time, I promise." Rick reluctantly released Danny, who was immediately surrounded by EMTs. Hawk watched from his bike as more police arrived, including a SWAT van and 3 unmarked cars. This was bigger than a simple kidnapping response. "Jake Morrison, Detective Chun," said approaching Hawk. "We meet again." Detective Hawk had dealt with Chun before. She was fair but tough, and she didn't like vigilante justice. "Want to tell me what happened here? And why?" "I've got reports of a citywide motorcycle chase, property damage at a construction site, and 47 bikers assembled on a public bridge. We were saving a child," Hawk said simply. By taking the law into your own hands by doing what needed to be done, Hawk met her gaze steadily. "That boy would be dead if we'd waited for official channels." Chun's jaw tightened. "You don't know that?" "Yeah, I do. Because Viper Santana doesn't make empty threats." Hawk gestured toward Rick and Danny. "That man testified against one of the most dangerous gang leaders in the state. The Serpents took his son as revenge. We got him back." "That's the story." "That's a story," Chun corrected. "There are about 50 others I'm hearing. Some involving weapons, high-speed pursuits through residential areas, and conspiracy to interfere with a federal case." Hawk's stomach dropped at that last part. "What?" "Viper Santana's trial. Rick Coleman's testimony. A coerced recantation." Chun pulled out her phone, showing Hawk a screenshot. "This is trending on Twitter right now. It's a biker rescue. Over 1 million views in the last hour. And guess who's very interested? The federal prosecutor handling Viper's case." "We didn't coerce anything," Hawk protested. "That's not how it looks online." Half the videos show Rick handing Viper a document. The other half show Viper claiming it's a fake recantation. She pocketed her phone. "The prosecutor is worried this whole circus could compromise the trial. Defense attorneys are already screaming about witness intimidation and illegal detention." Hawk felt the ground shift beneath him. They'd saved Danny, but they might have destroyed the case against Viper in the process. Detective Chun, another officer, jogged over. "We got a problem. Viper Santana just surrendered himself at Central Booking. His lawyer's with him and they're claiming Rick Coleman's testimony was procured under duress. They're filing a motion to have it thrown out." Chun closed her eyes briefly. "Of course they are." Rick approached, overhearing the conversation. Danny clung to his hand, wrapped in a blanket, but refusing to leave his father's side. "What does that mean?" "It means," Chun said carefully, "that Viper's lawyers are going to argue that you only testified because you were afraid of retaliation. In today's events, the kidnapping, the rescue, the public spectacle, they're going to use all of it to paint you as an unreliable witness who was trying to protect his family." "But that's insane!" Rick's voice rose. "He kidnapped my son. Can you prove that? Did you see him give the order? Did you hear him make threats?" Chun's expression was sympathetic but firm. "All we have right now is circumstantial evidence and a lot of viral videos that muddy the water." "Diesel recorded everything," Hawk interjected. "We've got footage of the kidnapping, the chase, everything. Footage taken by civilians during a pursuit that violated multiple traffic laws," Chun countered. and none of it shows Viper directly involved. The men who actually took Danny, they'll claim it was a misunderstanding, or they were following orders from someone else or a dozen other excuses without Danny's testimony. No, Rick said firmly. He's 8 years old. He's not testifying. Then we've got very little. Chun looked frustrated. Look, I believe you. I know what happened here, but proving it in court, that's different. Hawk's phone buzzed, then Bear's, then Diesel's. Within seconds, every Iron Rider was checking their devices, reading the same news alert. Breaking Viper Santana released on bond after key witness credibility questioned. How is that possible? Hawk demanded. He's facing life in prison. Emergency hearing? Chun explained, her own phone buzzing. His lawyers moved fast. Judge ruled that given the questions about witness reliability and new allegations of intimidation, he could be released pending further investigation. She looked genuinely angry. He'll be wearing an ankle monitor, but yeah, he's out. Rick's face went ashen. He's out. Viper is out. Only until the hearing next week, but Rick didn't wait to hear more. He grabbed Danny and started toward his motorcycle. Rick, wait, Hawk called out, but Rick was already mounting up. Danny secured in front of him. I'm taking my son home. I'm getting my wife and daughter, and we're leaving tonight. Running won't solve this, Chun warned. Staying here will get my family killed. Rick's voice cracked. You said it yourself. You can't prove anything. Viper will walk, and the first thing he'll do is come after us again. Only next time. You won't be there to stop him. He kick-started the Dyna and roared off before anyone could stop him. Detective Chun turned to Hawk. Is he right? Will Viper come after them again? Hawk watched Rick's tail light disappear into the gathering dusk. Yeah, he will, because now it's not just about the testimony, it's about respect. We embarrassed him in front of the whole world. A man like Viper doesn't forgive that. Then we need to protect the Colemans. You can't protect them 24/7. You don't have the resources. Hawk's mind was already working. But I know someone who might be able to help. Chun studied him. I should arrest you right now. Reckless endangerment, interference with a crime scene, probably a dozen traffic violations. But you won't. No, she admitted, because despite everything, you saved that kid's life. But Hawk, this isn't over. When this goes to trial, if it goes to trial, you and your club are going to be subpoenaed. Everything you did today will be picked apart by defense attorneys. Are you ready for that? We did the right thing. That doesn't always matter in court. She handed him her card. Keep your phone on, and if Rick contacts you, tell him not to leave the state. That'll only make things worse. As the police began clearing the bridge, the other biker clubs started dispersing. Jax from the Devil's Disciples approached Hawk, removing his helmet. Hell of a day, Jax said. Thanks for coming, all of you. We heard Viper got out. Jax's expression darkened. That's not right. No, it's not. So, what are you going to do about it? Hawk looked at the sunset, reflecting off the river. The same water that had nearly become Danny's grave. Whatever it takes. Jax nodded slowly, understanding passing between them. You need backup again. You call. What happened today? That was bigger than clubs. That was about what's right. After Jax left, Hawk gathered his remaining crew. Everyone get home. Lay low for a few days. This is going to get worse before it gets better. What about Rick? Bear asked. I'll handle Rick. Hawk pulled out his phone, finding a contact he hadn't called in 2 years. The line rang twice. Morrison, a gruff voice, answered. This better be good. Marshal Patterson, it's Hawk. I need to talk to you about witness protection. 3 days later, Rick Coleman sat in his living room watching his phone blow up with notifications. Danny was asleep upstairs, finally resting peacefully after 2 nights of nightmares. Maria sat beside Rick, her hand in his, both of them exhausted. The knock on the door made them both jump. Through the window, Rick saw Hawk standing on his porch alone. He opened the door cautiously. Got a minute? Hawk asked. They sat at the kitchen table. Maria made coffee. Nobody drank. Witness protection fell through, Rick said flatly. Patterson said, "We don't qualify unless there's an active, credible threat. And since Viper's out on bond with an ankle monitor, I know Hawk pulled out his tablet, but something happened. Something big." He turned the screen around. The video playing showed the bridge standoff from 3 days ago, but this wasn't shaky phone footage. This was professionally edited with multiple angles, clear audio, and dramatic music. The title read, "Real Heroes on Wheels: How Bikers Saved a Child." 23 million views. Hawk said in 3 days. It's on every major news network. CNN, Fox, MSNBC. They're calling it the biggest feel-good story of the year. Rick watched the footage. Danny being released. Rick falling to his knees. The thunderous roar of engines. He'd avoided social media since that day. Couldn't bear to see it. But now there's more, Hawk continued, swiping to another video. This is from Diesel's helmet cam. The full chase, unedited, 20-minute video showing everything. The kidnapping, the pursuit, the coordination. No violence, no aggression, just us trying to save a kid. "Hawk, this doesn't help," the prosecutor said. The prosecutor changed her mind. Hawk's smile was grim. Because something unexpected happened. The public pressure got so intense that people started digging. Real investigative journalists, internet sleuths, everyone. He pulled up a news article. Anonymous tipster reveals Serpent's financial records. Someone hacked the Serpent's encrypted servers, Hawk explained. Dumped everything online, communications, financial records, orders from Viper himself, including he zoomed in on a text message thread, his direct order to kidnap Danny. Time-stamped, geolocated, undeniable. Rick's breath caught. That's evidence. Ironclad evidence. The kind that can't be dismissed or explained away. Hawk leaned back. Viper's lawyers tried to claim the files were fabricated, but forensic analysis confirmed they're real. The FBI raided Serpent's locations across 3 states yesterday. They arrested 17 people, including Fong and Razor, and Viper back in custody. No bond this time. His trial's been moved up. Hawk's expression softened. "Rick, you don't have to run. The threat's over." Maria's hand flew to her mouth. "It's really over. The Serpents are done. Half their leadership is in custody. The other half is cooperating to save themselves. Viper's empire collapsed in 72 hours. All because the whole world was watching." Rick couldn't speak. He just stared at the videos playing on the tablet. Thousands of comments, all supporting them, all praising the bikers who'd risked everything for a child. "There's one more thing," Hawk said quietly. He played a final video, a news interview with Detective Chun. "These bikers," Chun said on screen, "they did something extraordinary. They didn't act out of revenge or violence. They acted out of protection. They saved a life when the system couldn't move fast enough. And they did it without firing a single shot, without throwing a single punch. That's not vigilantism. That's community." The interviewer asked, "Should they be prosecuted for breaking traffic laws?" Chun smiled slightly. "I think they've suffered enough. And frankly, I'd rather live in a world where people like the Iron Riders exist than one where nobody helps at all." The video ended. Rick looked at Hawk, tears streaming down his face. "You saved us, all of you. You saved my family. We saved your son." Hawk corrected. "But you saved yourself. You stood up to Viper. You testified. You did the hard thing even when it cost you everything. I almost lost Danny because of it, but you didn't. And now Viper's going away forever, and a dozen other families won't lose their kids to the Serpents." Hawk stood. "That's worth something, Rick. That testimony. It mattered." Maria hugged Hawk, sobbing into his vest. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Later, as Hawk rode home through the evening streets, his phone rang. Jenna Coleman's voice, bright and happy, came through his helmet speakers. "Mr. Hawk, it's Jenna. I just wanted to say Danny's home. He's okay? Thank you for keeping your promise." Hawk smiled, remembering the terrified little black girl at the carnival grounds. "You're welcome, sweetheart. Take care of your brother." "I will. And Mr. Hawk, when I grow up, I want to ride motorcycles too, like you. Then you'll need to learn the most important rule. What's that? We protect people who can't protect themselves. That's what real bikers do. I promise I'll remember." The call ended. Hawk pulled into the Iron Riders clubhouse to find his entire crew waiting. Not just his club, but members from the Devil's Disciples, the Road Kings, the Night Wolves, dozens of bikers who'd shown up that day at the bridge. "Saw the news," Jax called out. "Looks like we started something." "Yeah," Hawk agreed, looking at the assembled riders. Different clubs, different colors, but united by something bigger. "Yeah, we did." Bear handed him a beer to Danny Coleman, and to doing the right thing even when it's hard. They raised their bottles as the sunset painted the sky in shades of gold. Somewhere across the city, an 8-year-old boy slept peacefully in his own bed, safe and loved, and 50 bikers who'd become accidental heroes rode off into the night, their engines singing a song of thunder and redemption. Some stories don't need a perfect ending. They just need the right people showing up at the right time. And sometimes those people wear leather and ride Harleys.